Scared money don't make money. This is Bluedrops from the markets.
If you don't have your trading psychology right, it does not matter what else you do. The first element you must have is initiative. You have to get up off the ground and start trading. And it actually goes a little deeper than just that. There's going to be quite a few times where you're going to need initiative in your trading career, not just at the very beginning. So we're going to talk about that too. Now, this is a little bit difficult for me because I'm not really the rah-rah guy, as you guys kind of know. That's really not my forte, is to give you a pep talk. I am more the analytical, logical guy that says, okay, this is what doesn't work and this is why. This is what does work and this is why. That's kind of where I excel, I think. And if you struggle with initiative, of all things, just getting started, then I really don't even want to give you a pep talk. So let's go ahead and jump right into things here. The definition of initiative, as I found it on Google, is as follows: the power or opportunity to act or to take charge before others do. And just let's focus on the first part, the power or opportunity to act or take charge. Quick definition: balls. That's what it comes down to. Even if you're a woman and you're watching this, yes, I mean balls. Taking a market that most people would be petrified to trade because they know nothing about it and they fear losing all their money, and saying, you know what, I'm going to go learn it and just go do it anyway. And that's where I'm going to end up putting a hefty amount of my money because I understand the rewards too. Most people, almost everybody you know, doesn't do that. And that's where I want to get to those last three words: before others do. No, I don't mean get there before your friends do. That doesn't make any difference. You're not in competition with anybody else here. But when you make the attempt to become a professional Forex trader someday, you are separating yourself from everybody else. You're becoming an outlier because almost everybody out there, almost everybody you know, is too lazy or too scared to ever take that jump. As Forex traders, as potential wannabe Forex traders, we are not like everybody else. As far as people that at least have some idea what Forex trading is, most people just have no motivation to ever even look that direction, or even worse, I think, is that so many people know exactly what it is but wouldn't be caught dead trading it because they're scared. Forex involves risk. You can lose every last dollar you put into it. I did, 3 times. But I was able to shake it off because there is no laziness and no fear in my game. Now, I've had conversations with people about this through email, and this is only the case with people from foreign countries. They'll say, well, it's easy for you because you're an American. You have that entrepreneurial spirit. It's in your nature. It's in your blood to go after things. Now, there were 2 sides of this, if you remember. There's the lazy and there's the fearful. I'm hoping that if you fall into one of these categories, it's the fearful side, because that, at least for me, is going to be a little easier to talk you out of. Let's examine this a little bit. The reasons most people don't even bother jumping into Forex, even if they're a little bit interested in it, is just the fear of losing everything. And this is no different than any other investment out there, but just the fear of, I think there's a couple fears here. One is losing everything you put in, but 2, having that responsibility on you and having you be the one that fell apart. Having that stigma as you being the person that went into an investment and lost everything. I'm not sure which is worse for some people, but that's a real fear, and I get it, but we're going to talk about that. And the other big fear, at least that I have heard from people, is Forex is just too overwhelming to learn, which we're going to definitely attack that too. So starting with the first one, fear of losing it all. Let's talk about what worst case scenario really is most of the time. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this book here, 4-Hour Workweek. Fantastic book. Great book when it comes to squashing fears, because most of your fears are completely illogical. Worst case scenario is never as bad as you think it's going to be. There was a small story within the book, and I actually did a little more digging on this story. Back in the 80s, a guy goes to Ghana, to do some volunteer work. And what he doesn't know, or else it didn't happen until he got there, was Ghana just completely started to fall apart. Major turmoil hit that country. And he got stuck there. He couldn't come back. And he was stuck eating this, I guess what we would call like mush, just cornmeal and spinach, and ate that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because that's all that was available. And clean water was even hard to get. So his worst fears of going to a place like this were pretty much realized. And I think he was stuck there for like 6 months. But 2 weeks in, he's like, this really isn't that bad. I don't need any more than I have right now to survive. And I'm having the time of my life. I'm making all these new friends. I learned that I don't need anything more than, mush and a little bit of clean water and some good friends really to survive. And, 20, 30 years later, not only does he look back fondly on his time there, but he knows that if for some reason he were to fall into abject poverty, it wouldn't be that bad. One, he can come out of it. Two, when he was in it, the things he learned and the friends he made were irreplaceable. Now, if you want to actually quantify this in a way, also in the book, he says, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, your actual absolute worst case scenario is 1, temporary, 2, really only amounts to about a 3 or a 4, especially if you're in a developed country right now. Let's be honest. We can get out of it. We're smart enough. We have the resources. We know people. 3 or 4 is as low as it's ever going to go. But the upside, guys, the upside to getting really good at a recession-proof market like Forex, the upside's damn near unlimited. It is an absolute dream for most of us to someday trade Forex for a living. Is that worth the possibility of a temporary 3 or 4 in your life right now? A 3 or 4 that you could easily recover from? Yes, of course it is. So stop worrying about losing everything. Because if I can do it 3 times and still get back on my feet and then finally make it someday, then there's no reason why you can't either. I'm not smarter than you. I just didn't let that fear get in my way. Now, the other reason we spoke about is that it's overwhelming to learn. The real fear, honestly, guys, is not doing anything. The biggest risk you can ever take is simply not taking any, because you could end up with no retirement money. You could end up just having to work the rest of your life. This is going to be the fate for most people. Most people from Generation X all the way down have absolutely nothing saved. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a much better than average chance that by the time you get to retirement age, Social Security is not going to be there either. And so just like you probably are now, relying on your boss or some company or your parents, get used to it, because you're always going to have to rely on others at some point. And that sucks. Nobody actually wants that. But that's the path that almost everybody is on. And when it really, really comes down to it, probably my biggest fear is dying with lots of regret, or should I say growing old with lots of regret, and having that regret hanging over your head. I was always the smart kid growing up when I was younger. And it was actually a little bit of a curse, because I always felt like because of that, my entire identity was wrapped around, being the smart kid. And because of that, I always felt like I was destined to do really great things. But because of that, I was also entitled, and I never put in the work. Now, I figured it out later on in life, thank God. But even to this day, I always feel like I'm capable of really, really great things. And if I don't actually attempt them and follow through with them, then I've completely failed. And I can't get that back. And I can tell you right now, Forex trading does not draw in dumb people. I have a feeling that my story was very similar to a lot of yours in many ways. And I simply could not live with myself if I was 85 and my brain just wasn't there anymore. And there's nothing I could do, but I never actually tried. I never actually saw what I could really do. And all I ever did was just keep on working for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. There's no way. I have always been capable of more. I still am capable of much more. And God damn it, we're going forward. We're going to jump on every chance we get, and we're going to see where it goes. Because the last question I ever want to ask myself is, what if? And that fear, that very fear, propels me every single day. You will need initiative more than once, probably more than twice, in your trading career.